Yes, good morning, everyone. Joining us in this morning's budget hearing, we have from the Film Development Council of the Philippines, we have
Tayo
Ms.
sa akin.
Yusek Mary Lisa Dini. We have
Morning,
Chief
everyone.
Administrative Officer Ms. Emelita Alquesa. Then we have from the Philippine Racing Commission, we have the Chairman, Mr. Aurelio P. De Leon. We have the acting executive director. We have Mr. Ronald Corpus. The budget officer, we have Mr. John Edward R. Timbol. Then from the Philippine Postal Corporation, we have the Postmaster General, Mr. Normal Forhencio. We have the Chief of Staff Attorney I. Cerise Ong. We have Executive Assistant, we have Attorney May Ann De Maano. And the Assistant Postmaster General for Administration and Finance, we have Mr. Francis T. Sereno. We have Assistant Postmaster General for Management Support Service, Mr. Maximo Santamaria III. Then we have the Assistant Postmaster General for Operations. We have Engineer Joel Samudio. Then the Corporate Planning Department of OIC, Ms. Mara Beatriz Herbasio. Then we have a manager for Financial Management Department. We have Miss Caroline Edna Lada. That's all for this morning, ma'am.
Salamat, Comsec, at maraming salamat sa mga ahensya natin for being present today. I'll actually be able to declare a quorum only when another senator will join us. But let's proceed with the hearing. There is, okay, good morning also, Postmaster General. I see you now. All right. We will begin, colleagues, with the budget of the Philippine Racing Commission, followed by the Film Development Council of the Philippines, and then by the Philippine Postal Corporation. May I request that the agencies limit your presentations to 30 minutes in order for us to have enough time to ask questions. And then my fellow senators, as they arrive, will then ask their questions after each of your presentations. So, Chairman De Leon of PhilRacom, you have the floor. Chair, naka-mute kayo.
Okay po.
There you are. Okay, sir.
Okay na po.
Yes, sir. Dinig na namin kayo.
Apo. As we discussed yesterday, actually, the Philippine Racing Commission is appealing for additional increase of budget for 2022 because of our projections to employ more of our countrymen and to generate more summary of our presentation to be presented by our budget officer, Mr. John. Can I give the floor to Mr. John, Senator Montiveros?
Yes, Chairman. ED John, please proceed.
Apo. John, can you take the floor with the
Yes.
permission of our good senator?
Yes, Chairman. And kung maaari po, ED John could also present even the preliminaries to your budget presentation for the benefit po of the other senators who may follow. And I see at least one other office of the senator present here, that of Sen. Grace. So please make a fuller presentation. Thank you,
Okay,
Chairman. Please
ma'am,
proceed, ED
for
John.
the presentations of our budget for 2022, as stated, no, we are asking for additional 230 million for next year, of which majority of the added budget will be given to prices of horses in the races for the whole year of 2022. The equivalent 111 million added for the horse price of the races will be given to the different connection or sectors of the industry. This comprise the horse owners, jockey, trainers, grooms, and other sectors. And
Excuse me,
other
Chairman,
major
hindi yata umaandar yung slides nyo. You might want to show the slide.
Okay, John, Ron, can you yeah, okay. Yan na po. This is our declaration. So to promote
Yes, sir.
and maintain efficient and bias, nawawala Ron.
Sir.
Uh,
Okay po, sir.
to promote and direct the accelerated development and continued growth of horse racings, not only in pursuance of sports development program, but also in order to pull exploitations of the sports as a source of revenue and employment. So yung source of revenue po, at an average for the last 18 years, nasa 1 billion to 1.2 billion ang revenue ng Philippine horse racing industry para sa gobyerno. Yung employment po, meron po tayong more than 12,000 direct and indirect employment na naibibigay sa ating mga kababayan. Can we move up the slides, Ron? Ron, can we move it? Pakitaas lang po, Ron.
Yes, sir. Actually, may delay lang po. Yan po.
Yan po. Actually, some of the three objectives that we have right now is to promote and maintain efficient, unbiased operations of racing, exclusive for the supervisions of betting therein. To raise public confidence in the sport and minimize infractions of the rules of racing, to improve the breed of Philippine horse and to prevent illegal importations of horses. Those were the three major objectives of Philippine Racing Commissions by next year, and it is being followed to the tilt, no, and we protect all the bettors, all the bettings of the public, and we are actually in the directions of expanding the breeding of horses in the Philippines. Next page, Ron. So these are the summary of our GAA budget and of 2021 and the proposed increase. No. Go ahead, Ron. The next page. So these are the total 2021 approved budget by the Department of Budget and the requested budget for additional for next year. Okay, yan po yung 111 million yung summary ng additional para dun sa horse price. Nasa 55,000 yung stud farm that we will be taking over from BAI starting next year. Next in line will be the motor vehicles, which is 22 million. We need to transport from Cavite, Batangas, and Makati. And some of the minor added prices are the TB coverage, the presentation expenses, and the vaccinations, and some academy and expo for Philippine horse racing. So the total of this will be 230 million, and the total projected income for the government by next year will be from 1 billion to 1.7 to 1.8 billion next year. So what we are asking is just a portion of what we expect to gain. No? So dear senators, Senator Ontiveros and other senators, and we are appealing for the approval of this additional budget for Philippine horse racing industry. Senator Ontiveros. Yun na po.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Comsec, tama po ba ako? Wala pa namang ibang senador na dumalo at magtatanong?
Wala pa, ma'am. Wala pa.
Alright,
Pero we
thank
send
you.
another notice. Thank you.
Thank you, Comsec. All right. In that case, colleagues, pending any fellow senator of mine who may request a reconsideration of this, since there are no objections, I deem the budget of the Philippine Racing Commission submitted for plenary deliberations. So maraming salamat muli, Chairman De Leon and colleagues from the PhilRacom.
Thank you, Madam Senator.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you too. Salamat po. All right, so now Chair Liza Dino of the Film Development Council, you may begin your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Senator. To our colleagues here, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Of course, Honorable Risa Hontiveros, good morning. At sa buong Secretariat, it is my honor and privilege to represent the Film Development Council of the Philippines and address you today to present our agency's programs and accomplishments and budget for fiscal year 2022. I have the presentation, please. Ria, are you here? Apologies, Senator. I'm just checking. Nasubmit ba?
It's all right,
Are we
Chair.
sharing our... Okay.
Hindi pa po, hindi pa namin makita yung slides nyo. Comsec, enabled na ba sila mag-share screen?
Oo.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Comsec. So, Chair Liza, okay na ba?
Okay.
Alright.
Sige, in the absence of a slide, of slides, I'll just continue with the presentation of our budget and our accomplishments. So, since the pandemic hit us in 2020, the film and audiovisual sector remains one of the most negatively affected industries in the country. Before the recent news that IATF is finally allowing cinemas to slowly reopen tomorrow, October 16, for more than a year, our sector has been struggling to find sustainable platforms to exhibit their films. Pre-pandemic, our local film industry generates 80% of its revenue from the brick and mortar cinemas. So while production shoots have restarted since May 2020, only 25% of film production companies have resumed operations and produced films. And because of this, job opportunities were scarce. Production shoots had to increase their budgets to 30% more than the original cost to pay for COVID protocol related expenses. So just to give you a summary of what has been lost by this industry just because of this pandemic, the film production sector lost 16 billion pesos, while the cinema sector has lost 21 billion, affecting around 760,000 film and audiovisual workers. In response to this, it is incumbent upon the FDCP as the National Film Agency to strengthen and reinforce its program, not just to continue championing Philippine cinema, but aid the recovery of the Philippine film industry as a whole. And with this, the agency identified four main priorities from 2020 to 2021. First is the COVID intervention programs as an immediate response to our workers. Second is financial incentives for film production so that we can provide financial resources and help augment their production cost. Third is the non-financial incentives to continuously support the creation and development of film projects despite the pandemic, especially since nasa mga bahay po sila, it's the perfect time for them to actually incubate and create these projects. And of course, lastly, the distribution initiatives that we have engaged with and launched to help our distributors to find alternative platforms to showcase their finished films. May I ask our team, are we ready now for our presentation? And Marianne, are you all here? Can we share our slide?
While we're waiting for the slides, I'd like to recognize the presence of Senator Cynthia Villar. Sen Cynthia, salamat po sa pagdalo.
Nasa waiting room daw po sila. Are you in now? Can I hear from our team, please?
Comsec, paki-admit yung staff ni Chair Liza.
Senator Risa, I'm present.
Morning po,
Yes,
Senator.
Sen Cynthia, salamat. I acknowledged you earlier. Salamat, Sen Cynthia, sa pagdalo sa ating pagdinig. We are
Okay.
presently hearing the proposed budget of the Film Development Council through Chair Liza.
Thank you.
Morning, Senator Cynthia. Magandang umaga po.
Okay. Lagay mo lang name ko doon. Wala naman.
May I hear again from our team? Should I continue? Are we sharing screen?
Yes, ma'am, sharing.
Comsec, na-admit na po ba yung FDCP staff?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Comsec. So FDCP, okay, there you are. Please proceed,
Okay,
Chair
perfect.
Liza.
Okay. So as I've said, we have identified 4 priority programs in order for us to immediately provide support for our industry. So first, I'll go to our COVID-19 intervention programs. So the FDCP activated COVID-19 intervention programs as early as March 2020 in response to the pandemic. These programs cover our response to workers' unemployment, the need for immediate vaccination, and a support mechanism to enable production activities to resume amid the pandemic. Through these programs, we managed to support 1,115 productions to register their projects for safe filming, provided financial aid to 5,000 workers in the amount of 28 million from the FDCP's realigned funds, and 2,867 workers in the total amount of 14.335 million through DOLE. Under the Bayanihan Act 2. We also registered a total of 6,019 film and audiovisual workers, companies, organizations, and entertainment press members through our national registry system, which we saw as an immediate solution for us to get them officially registered under a government registry, because most of our filmmakers, our film workers, are freelancers. We also were able to vaccinate around 4,970 individuals from the film and entertainment industry. So these intervention programs include safe filming. It supports production activities to ensure safety measures are in place for resuming production activities. At the FDCP National Registry, it's an online registry system that serves as a database for FDCP to monitor, protect, and provide services to film workers nationwide. The Good Job vaccination program, in partnership with identified LGUs like Quezon City and Manila City, that provided for us vaccines to inoculate our film workers, and the DEAR program, and the cooperation with DOLE under the Bayanihan Act 2 to provide the financial assistance to film workers who lost employment during pandemic. So from the intervention programs, of course, we go to the incentives for film productions. In support of continued film production in the country, FDCP provides financial and non-financial incentives to filmmakers and film productions to keep them afloat. From 2020 to 2021, FDCP awarded financial grants in the amount of 125.9 million to 21 international projects and co-productions with the Philippines. What's good about these grants is their exponential contribution to the economy, with a total of 1.089 billion pesos equivalent production spend in the Philippines. With the 125.9 million grants that we awarded, we were also able to generate jobs. Around 717 Filipino film workers were given jobs during this pandemic, because we were able to work with international productions. On the domestic side, the agency released 29.4 million to support 50 Filipino film projects for development and production support. So just a quick rundown of what these incentives are. We have the Film Location Incentive Program. This is a 20% cash rebate for foreign productions shooting in the Philippines. This program jumpstarts activities for the local service sector. From film production, post-production, animation services, we provide services for foreign production companies. From services, of course, we also want to support the creation of original IP. Nakita naman natin ngayon with Squid Game and all of this original content coming from different countries. This is what we aim for our local industry, to partner partner with international production so that we can also create original content. With that, we have the International Co-Production Fund, which provides up to 10 million in support for co-produced projects, and the ASEAN Co-Production Fund, which where our goal of making the Philippines a creative hub for Southeast Asia is realized through a grant that provides around 2.5 million to 7.5 million to projects co-produced between Philippines and a Southeast Asian country. Meanwhile, the local counterpart of this incentive program is geared towards supporting domestic production. So FDCP launched the Create Philippine Films Funding Program, which provides funding for script development, project development, film production, post-production, and film distribution. For our non-financial incentives, this is our way to these are support mechanisms to help film projects in development advance from concept to script to being pitched to finding investors and be ready for production. Our initiative is to upskill and reskill the film industry sector, especially those who were displaced during the pandemic as we go through this drastic technological changes in the global film landscape. So from 2020 to 2021, FDCP was able to conduct 85 workshops, masterclasses, and webinars, secured 162 local and international speakers, partnered with 48 local and international institutions, gathered 11,602 attendees, and supported 130 projects for development and production. These were accomplished through educational programs like the FDCP Film School, International Film Industry Conference, and our International Film Studies Assistance Program. At the same time, we also have intensive film labs. So it's like laboratories for films, like Full Circle Lab Philippines, which is an international lab, Southern Voices Film Lab, which is a regional film lab for Mindanaoan filmmakers, Cine Kabataan, to support the voices of the youth, and the Mit Out Sound International Silent Film Lab for the production of silent films. And lastly, our distribution programs. We all know that the closure of cinemas in the country greatly affected the ecosystem of our local film industry, since 80% of the industry's revenues pre-pandemic come from the cinema box office. Hence, the FDCP created distribution initiatives to help our producers find platforms to release Filipino films. So from 2020 to 2021, FDCP was able to showcase and promote 453 films, not necessarily new. There were some that are cataloged on library films through our local distribution platforms, and 276 films through international platforms. We also attended 16 international film festivals and 13 international film markets, both virtually, to promote Philippine cinema and be able to sell our films. FDCP Channel, the agency's very own and the very first government-run online streaming platform managed by the agency, was created to provide audiences with access to well-curated Filipino films and content from the safety of their homes. And actually po, just last September, we were able to launch 100 films on the platform. A lot of them are hard to find films, independent films from the past that our students and film enthusiasts can have access to for a minimal price. While our Film Development Assistance Program supported 21 regional film festivals. Ito po yung mga platforms naman sa ating mga regional filmmakers na naghahanap po ng opportunity para mapanood ng ibang lugar dito sa Pilipinas. And with this, of course, the counterpart of that internationally is how we have been collaborating with big streamers like Netflix, one of the world's biggest streamers, to lobby for the acquisition of more Filipino titles in their online library. And as of 2021, Netflix has acquired 82 Filipino films to be featured on their platform, available worldwide. So this is really a landmark success for the film industry, because our audience is now global. We are also in talks with other streamers like Warner, HBO, Amazon to produce localized content with the Philippines. We also urge and join Philippine embassies worldwide to organize Filipino film festivals in their respective countries through the Philippine Embassy's Assistance Program and important international film festivals all over the world to do special programming on Philippine cinema through our Spotlight Philippines program. So that's our accomplishment for the year, and we will never stop, hanggat matulungan po natin ang ating industriya na makabangon po dito po sa pandemya. So we go to the budget. Even with the limited resources and funding, the FPCP was able to activate these many programs that address the most pressing needs for support by the Philippine film industry. And this brings us to our report on our budget utilization. In 2020, 70 million pesos from the agency's budget from unreleased appropriations was pooled by DBM under the Bayanihan Act in response to the pandemic. Despite this, the agency still managed to pursue its programs and utilize 191.527 million out of the 195.068 million budget allotment, thereby having a 98% budget utilization rate. The balance of just represents the personal services and field plantilla positions that were given to the FPCP last February 2020. But all MOOE were obligated. For the current year of 2021, for the first semester of June 30, the FTCP was able to obligate 68.317 million out of the 173.337 million allotment. The balance of 105.020 million is contributed to the pending release of funding under our Film Philippines incentive programs, which will be due for release in the third and fourth quarters of this year. Now for our budget for 2022. As for DBM's approved budget, FDCP has an allotment of 30.138 million for general administration and support services, 206.670 million for film industry promotion and development services, and 11.001 for film preservation services, totaling 247.809 million pesos. This is compared to the agency's 2021 budget of 174.821 million. So for 2022, FDCP intends to further its priorities and strengthen its identified priorities, especially its funding for international and local productions. So just to give you an idea on how we can justify these additional funds, with the first few cycles of Film Philippines incentives for co-production and rebates for filming in the Philippines, with just an initial budget of 50 million that was given to us in 2020 by the DBM, FDCP has already been able to bring in a total of 1.089 billion pesos in the country for just 21 international projects and employed 717 film workers. For local productions, nakita naman po natin na malaking dagok po talaga itong pandemya. So as the pandemic, because of the way the pandemic really affected the country, an average of 80 to 100 local films that are produced every year. This drastically dropped to only 29 since the pandemic happened, and most of them pa po are not yet finished. So through the Create Philippine Films program in its first two cycles, FDCP provided a financial stimulus for the production of 50 projects that will soon be released as films. So if we support the Create Philippine Films, mas marami pa po tayong mga pelikulang matutulungan at mabibigyan po ng pag-asa na matapos kanilang mga pelikula. And it's in this light that we believe that our funding program's potential could further be tapped to stimulate economic growth while producing more film quality content. So this is why we are hoping to secure an additional of 100 million for its Film Philippines incentives program for 2022 and another 50 million for the Create Philippines film funding program for local projects. The increase in fund allocation for our incentive programs would not only ensure the sustainability of the program, but would also allow us to fulfill our mandate as stated in the law. Further, this will allow for more projects to be awarded with the fund, and therefore activating and inspiring our Filipino filmmakers to continuously make good films that represent our stories and who we are as a nation. And malaking bagay din po ito para to keep the industry afloat and start the recovery process of the Philippine film industry. Thank you so much, Senators.
Maraming salamat din, Chair Liza. Are there any questions? For example, from Sen Cynthia? If not, with the presence of Sen Cynthia, the chair also declares the presence of a quorum. And Comsec, tama no, wala pang ibang senador na nandito ngayon? Bukod kay
Ma'am,
Sen
wala po
Cynthia.
po.
All right. Salamat, Comsec. The chair also notes, however, the presence of the office of the Sen Bong Revilla. Oo, salamat para doon. All right. In that case, if there are no objections, I deem the budget of the Film Development Council of the Philippines submitted for plenary deliberations. Maraming salamat, Chair Liza and mga colleagues sa FDCP.
Thank you, Senator.
Congratulations, FTCP, and earlier, of course, congratulations to PhilPost. So now, Postmaster General Norman Fulgencio, Philippine Postal Corporation, you have the floor. Thank you. Sir, may nag-e-echo. Baka may isa pa kayong gadget na bukas dyan.
Ayan.
Yes, we can hear you, PMG. Baka pwede niyong buksan yung video niyo para makita kayo ng mga colleagues.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good senators
PMG.
and Senate Secretariat.
Sir, mukhang may additional gadget sa inyo na pwedeng isara kasi nag-feedback po sa inyo. And then please open your video para makita po kayo namin. Hello again to APMG Francis. And PMG Zamudio.
Ayun na lang ako. Ayan.
PMG, nag-feedback pa rin po. We just need
Audio.
one project open para kayo lang naririnig. Ayun, okay na po yung audio, sir. You can proceed, PMG.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, and good senators and board secretariats.
Sorry, sir, may feedback pa rin pala. There's at least one other gadget still open. Bukod sa inyo.
Can you turn off all your audio, please? Yan. Hindi, yung audio nung kasi bukas eh.
Ayan, sir. Okay na yung audio quality nyo. Wala nang feedback. So, you may proceed, PMG Fulgencio.
Okay, I am Norman N. Fulgencio, President and CEO of Philippine Postal Corporation. With me are our Assistant Postmaster General for Finance and Admin, Francis Sereno, Assistant Postmaster General for Operations, Engineers Joel Samudio, Assistant Postmaster General for Management and Support Service, Mr. Maximo Santamaria, Attorney Ice Ong, our Chief of Staff, Ms. Mara Beatriz Herbacio of Corporate Planning Department, Ms. Caroline Ednalaga, Manager of Financial Management Department, Ms. Gladys Remo, Chief of Budget and Financial Management Department, and Attorney May Ann Dimaano, our Executive Assistant. Madam Chair, for the budget presentation for calendar year 2022, may we have the permission to ask Ms. Herbacio to present?
Yes, PMG. Yes, Ms. Bea, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Let me just share my slide.
Comsec, ayan, thank you. All right, Ms. Bea, please proceed.
Okay. So good morning to the members of the Legislative Committee on Support Service, our honorable senators present in this budget presentation. So yes, we are here. The Philippine Postal Corporation is here to present our budget for calendar year 2022. So to begin, let me just give you an outline of the presentation. We'll be presenting our corporate profile, our performance accomplishments, corporate operating budget, and our request for fracking reimbursement and additional requests for funding. So to begin, for the corporate profile, the Philippine Postal Corporation, or the Post Office, was created under Republic Act number 7354, or the Postal Service Act of 1992. Our main mandates are to plan, develop, promote, and operate a nationwide postal system, making at least available an ordinary mail service to any settlement in the country. Another is to provide for the collection, handling, transportation, delivery, forwarding, returning and holding of mails, parcels, and like materials throughout the Philippines, and also to and from foreign countries. Lastly is to determine and dispose of within settled jurisprudence any confiscated or non-mailable mail matters collected in the post office. Also, as a member of the of the Universal Postal Union, we adhere to the UPU Vision and Mission 2020, which is to provide a broader vision and direction for the future strategy in view of a postal world where there is inclusive, innovative, and fully integrated systems, not just in the national level, but also in the regional and especially in the global level. Also, a postal world in which the postal sector's unique ability to include almost everyone, all our stakeholders, is fully recognized and exploited, not just by the governments, but also development partners and international organizations globally. For our mission, we aim to have lasting development of efficient and accessible universal postal services of quality in order to facilitate global communication. So we are aiming for a more global type of service. For our PU World Postal Strategy, currently what we have now is the Istanbul World Postal Strategy for 2022. This strategy has three goals, which is to improve the interoperability of network structure, focusing on the development of standards of information and communication technologies, and of course, streamline operational processes and regulations. For goal number 2 is to ensure sustainable and modern products, and this by modernizing and fully integrating the product portfolios and supporting systems, especially in the e-commerce solutions happening now, brought about by the pandemic. We also support the trade facilitation through the postal network. And lastly, for our goal number 3 is to foster market and sector functioning. This is by the development of cooperation measures, encouraging market and sectoral information, thereby improving efficiency, especially in the areas of policy regulation and mobilizing environmental and sustainable development. For the post office's vision, mission, and corporate values, we aim to be the preferred universal delivery service provider of communication, goods and merchandise, and payment services in every Filipino community. We do this every day, showing our commitment to the Filipino people in providing quality services to everyone. For our corporate objectives, we have identified 5: having organizational competency through employing a competent workforce, showing the right knowledge and relevant skills, especially those exemplifying attitudes consistent with our corporate values. We also, as a part of our objective, we have the effective quality management system, the implementation of the quality management system that would streamline processes, reduce wastage, improve quality of postal services, and ultimately enhancing customer satisfaction. We also have modernization and computerization efforts, taking advantage of the ICT and e-commerce opportunities available in the market right now. For our financial sustainability, we aim to attain 100% revenue generation through effective cost management and, of course, balancing between fulfilling our service obligation and maintaining profitability. For our customer, we also aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction rating as of course in any type of service. So we want a 100% customer satisfaction rating. Lastly is access to communications, goods, and merchandise and payment services. We aim to establish a network that would provide access to all of this communication, goods, and merchandise and payment services through multimodal forms of access, whether physical, digital, virtual, and financial access. For our priority plans and programs, we have our operations improvement program, mainly focused on improving operational efficiency through continuous computerization, mechanization, and digitization of all our processes to ensure the continuity of postal operations and enhance our postal safety and security through the implementation of an enterprise-wide risk management program. We also aim to enhance the efficiency in the movement and distribution of mails through our refleeting programs and improving customer service experience. For our integrated marketing communications program, the simplification of products and services to make it attuned to the current demands and requirements of the customers, especially now po that we are seeing a huge change in the preferences of customers. For the ICT development program, we have the implementation and enhancement of our operational systems, implementing the enterprise resource planning. Currently, we have the human resource, the mail management system, the corporate financial management system, and the financial counter system. Along with that is the establishment of our command center, wherein we are able to see the summary of our daily operations. So mas madali po. It's very efficient for us to monitor how our operation is happening. Also for the connectivity of 1,263 postal outlets nationwide. For our health and safety programs related to COVID-19, we have established our Health and Safety Committee, our implementation and compliance with the IATF guidelines, especially on the establishment of QR code contact tracing, disinfection of common areas, establishment of isolation facilities, and our information drive on the placing of markers and reminders in all our offices. We also have a continuous COVID-19 antigen swab testing. So this is conducted weekly at a random level. This is the schedule of our COVID-19 initiative. So this is a summary of this. For our vaccination drive, we have conducted this early this year. Currently, we have, out of the 6,660 employees, we are at 42% vaccinated employees. That is 2,784 employees who are vaccinated. We aim for the timeline of the vaccinations of all employees. We are targeting that the employees of the Philippine Postal Corporation are vaccinated by the end of this year. For our postal network, seen here flashed on screen are the different areas of the Philippine Postal Corporation. These are area offices located in strategic places in the Philippines. So one in Northeast Luzon, located in Tuguegarao, having 2 post offices. Overall, in total, we have 1,263 active post offices nationwide. For our delivery performance, we will just be summarizing this. So our delivery performance is mainly based on what type of service that the customer is availing. So for the ordinary mail, domestic and international service, for our service standards, we initially have 1 to 2 working days for mails within locality. But due to the pandemic, we have recalibrated these service standards to manage expectations of our customers. So for regional or intra-regional mails, we have 4 working days, now moved to 7 working days for Visayas Mindanao areas. For the registered mail, domestic and international, including the e-registered mail, we have also 1 to 2 working days for Manila within locality, and then 5 working days for intra-regional mails. We have recalibrated it also to 5 and 8 working days due to the limitations brought about by the pandemic. For the express mail, domestic and international service, we have a service standard of 1 to 2 working days for committed areas, which we have calibrated to 2 and 4 working days, respectively for Manila and Visayas and Mindanao. And lastly, for the domestic ordinary parcel and international air service airlifted parcels, the service standard is 1 to 2 working days for parcels calibrated to 3 working days for international parcels, recalibrated to 7 working days, again brought about by the limitations on the pandemic. We have a 30-day service level standard, especially for the delivery on remote or far-flung areas. So ito po yung mga islands, mountainous, hilly areas with a distance of more than 10 kilometers from the delivery office. So ito po, missionary, high risk, and critical areas. For the manpower complement, we have 6,660 employees currently in the Philippine Postal Corporation nationwide. For our performance accomplishments as reported in our GCC performance scorecard, for the first semester, we are happy to present that we have exceeded targets, especially on the domestic, ordinary, and registered mail performance. So out of the 85% attainment, this is around 86 to 87% of our delivery performance. So we are happy to say that even with the pandemic, we are still doing our best to deliver our meals and to provide the quality services that the Filipino people need. For the other services for the percentage of employees meeting required competencies, out of the 80%, we have met 81.38 on the technical competencies. Trainings are continuous in the Philippine Postal Corporation, whether physical or now virtual because of the limitations in the pandemic. For our corporate operating budget, we presented here is the 2022 proposal. For our proposed budget for 2022, we have a target net revenue of 4.9 billion pesos. The reimbursement of franking amounting to 500 million, which is the recommended ceiling price of DBM. We also have the subsidy from UPU at 48 million pesos, which gives us a total gross receipts of 5,468,576,497. Then our proposed total expenditures amounts to 5,458,778,396, which results to a surplus of 9,798,100. In comparison to the 2021, we have a target net revenue of 4 billion pesos with a reimbursement from the national government amounting to 540 million pesos. 20 million of that reimbursement is for the repair and rehabilitation of the Western Visayas Regional Post Office, which yields a total gross receipts of 4.6 billion pesos. Our proposed total expenditure for 2021 on the approved budget is 4.4 billion pesos, which results to a surplus of 169,435,468 pesos. And for the 2020 actual figures, we have a net revenue of 2.2 billion pesos with a reimbursement from the national government amounting to 500 million, which yields a total gross receipts of 2.7 billion pesos. The total expenditures amounts 2.9 billion for 2020, which resulted to a deficit of 240 million pesos for 2020. For our results of operations, for 2022, revenue after VAT amounting to 4.9 billion. Less the other expenses, we have our proposed earnings before tax of 22 million pesos, plus the subsidy from the national government and the subsidies income from non-shareholders amounting to 48 million. We have a net income of 564,131,550. For comparing it to 2021 and 2022, Our estimated net income for 2021 is 570 million pesos, and for 2020, our actual net loss is at 240 million pesos. For our franking privilege, let me just give you a background on the franking privilege. The franking privilege refers to a privilege given to some government officials, government agencies, offices, individuals to send mail matters free of postage charges. This is pursuant to paragraph 2, section 35 of Article 7 of the Republic Act number 7354, or the Postal Service Act of 1992. Currently, we have two existing guidelines for the issuance of franking privilege. Number one is the franking privilege of all concerned officers or persons is limited only to domestic, ordinary, and domestic registered mail. These are mails weighing up to 2 kilograms, except for any mails sent by a blind person or any organization for the blind, which may also be sent via international, ordinary, or registered mail. Recently, we have issued PhilPost Circular number 21-66 this July of this year, wherein domestic parcels weighing up to 15 kilograms may also be accepted from selected government agencies or offices and individuals, except, of course, for those with specified weight limits in their coverage. This is a breakdown based on government branch on the availment of the franking privilege. The biggest branch is from the judicial, amounting to 401,351,103 million worth of franking services provided, to be followed by the executive committee at 22.08% or 113 million. A more detailed agency availment of franking privilege, aside from the judiciary, we have the prosecutor's office amounting to 51 million and Commission on Elections amounting to 23 million pesos of franking privilege available. On a by category and in pieces, we have a total of 6,009,736 pieces of franking privilege by category based on the agencies who are allowed to avail of franking privilege. So this is a mixture of registered and ordinary mail services. For our utilization of franking reimbursement, the 2022 reimbursement of franking is proposed to be utilized on the following operating expenses: 50% for transportation and delivery, 10% for supply and material operations, 7% on gas lubricant, letter carriers, 3% also for repair and maintenance for government facilities, and 1% on the repair and maintenance government vehicles, which is a total of 500,256. So for 2021 and 2022, it's almost the same level of utilization, may difference lang po ng 1 to 2%. For our franking privilege reimbursement request, we have initially requested for the reimbursement of 6,009,736 pieces of mails or parcels amounting to 516,196,846 pesos. However, the budget ceiling allocated by DBM only amounts to 500,256,000 pesos. For our additional budget request, we are the post office kindly requests for the approval of the franking deficiencies from the previous proposed reimbursement. Reflected here on screen are the 2021 and 2022 proposed reimbursement versus the approved budget ceiling by DBM. So for 2021, our proposed reimbursement amounts to 600 million. The approved DBM franking reimbursement only amounts to 520 million pesos, which shows a deficiency of 79 million pesos. For 2022, we have proposed 516 million for the reimbursement. We were only approved 500,256,000, which is a deficiency of 15.9 million pesos. So overall, in total, what we are requesting is the reimbursement and approval of the 95,738,682 pesos on the deficiency of the franking reimbursement. These are considered as services rendered already by the Philippine Postal Corporation on the franking privileges or franking services availed by government agencies using our franking privilege. Thank you po.
Din Ms. Julia and PGM Fulgencio. So, am I correct, Comsec? It's still just Sen Cynthia who is with us, no? At saka yung office ni Sen Bong Revilla.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
there any, yes, thanks, Comsec. Are there any questions, Sen Cynthia, for PhilPost? Dahil kung wala po, with no objections, I also finally deem the budget of the Philippine Postal Corporation submitted for plenary deliberations. So maraming salamat, PGM, Ms. Bea, and the whole contingent of PhilPost. Congratulations po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you,
Thank
Senator
you,
Villar.
APGM Francis. All right, thank you, Ms. Attorney Ong.
Thank you,
So,
Madam Chair.
yes, thank you, PGM.
Thank you, ma'am.
Senator and
Ms.
to
Bea.
Senator Villar.
Salamat po. Alright, so maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Stay healthy, everyone. At yes, APGM Francis. Stay healthy, everyone. At magkita-kita po tayo sa plenary deliberations na.
Yes,
Alright.
ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Salamat, salamat. Magandang umaga sa lahat. Thanks, Chair Liza.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator.